Hi there and welcome to another episode of The 20 Minutes, a review of yesterday's action at the US Open in New York. So let's get straight to it. Iga Swiatek here winning in straight sets against Sloane Stephens. Very, very impressive performance from the pole. Many people were suggesting she might even drop a set and possibly even lose in what was a really, really tricky second round tie for the world number one, but she progressed and she didn't really look in any bother whatsoever, which I think seems ominous for her rivals. Let me know in the comments section below. Let me know on Twitter as well what you think about that. Talking Tennis TT is our Twitter handle, and make sure you like this video and subscribe. Anyway, Stephens, maybe you're a little bit disappointed in her performance. I think she didn't really turn up. A little bit unfair perhaps, but very tricky against Swiatek, who, by the way, is starting to show some signs of how it was for her in the spring when she went on that amazing, I think it was 35 match, unbeaten run. Over here we have Coric against Alcaraz. I could only really watch the first set of this match. In fact, barely even the first set. I had to switch over and watch the football. My team won, Manchester United. Boo! But anyway, yeah, so Alcaraz also looking ominous. He's on collision course, of course, with Jannik Sinner, who I've got just behind me here. He won in straight sets as well against Eubanks. Fairly comfortable for the Italian, and I do expect those two to meet in the quarterfinal. We'll see if that pans out. Before then, though, Alcaraz has to deal with not Borna Coric, Jenson Brooksby. Because Jenson Brooksby won in straight sets against the Croatian yesterday. And I was watching this match on the channel. 6-4, 7-6, 6-1 was very impressive. Let me know whether you think that perhaps Brooksby will actually offer a more difficult opponent than the Masters 1000 winner recently in Cincinnati, Coric. Quite possibly, and especially on this form. But this match was all about the second set tiebreaker, or even arguably the second set as a whole. Coric was a break-up in this set, let it slip. In the final game of the set at 6-5, he has two, count them, I know you won't, set points. He then, in the tiebreak, has a further 5 more. And I think there was a moment on a set point when he did kind of have a brain moment where he didn't quite do the right decision, made a couple of bad decisions, I think, particularly on a shot that I think that he thought was going to go long, but it didn't. Anyway, Brooksby saves the set points, and on his first set point, he wins the second set, and that was decisive. Really never looking back, breaking twice, I believe, in the final set, and coolly progresses to a meeting with Alcaraz. And I think that could well be a popcorn match, just because of the very different styles. And let's see if Brooksby gets under the Spaniard's skin. Not many people can. Kvitova getting a walkover against the unfortunate Kalina. Muguruza, straight sets. Very nice for her. Is she starting to regain some of that form that she's obviously lost for most of this year, since really the WTA finals of last year? That will be interesting to see. I'd really love to see it. And she did it in 1 hour and 11 minutes, which is pretty impressive. Also impressive as well, Danielle Collins quietly making her way into round 3. Into round 2, of course, it was the complete opposite with her. Very impressive and very loud, if you don't mind me saying, win over Osaka. Loud in terms of publicity, at least. And really, hats off to the American. She's carried on from where she left off in that match by dispensing with Buska in straight sets in 1 hour and a half. Jessica Pegula-Sasnovich is a match that I watched. Did it have me on the edge of my seat? Honestly, no. Pegula is somebody that doesn't necessarily, for me at least, get me on the edge of my seat, because she is somebody that tends to just go as far as you expect. She's the number 8 seed. I expect her to reach the quarterfinals. But do I expect her to win the title? No. I just think that she doesn't quite have that extra gear that somebody like Swiatek, or perhaps even Coco Gauff, who of course is also in round 3 action later today. We'll come to that as well shortly. So does she have that extra gear? I'm just not sure that she does. So there we go. Any other matches on my screen here? Well, at least Cornet going through in 3 sets. Good for her. Her run continues after obviously knocking out Raducanu in the first round. But let's have a quick look at this match over here in the corner. It was the late match. If you were here in Central Europe like myself, I think it was about 4 in the morning by the time they got underway. Lasting 2 hours and 43 minutes, and Nadal again suffering a scare. In fact, more than a scare. We'll come to the latter scare in a minute. But the initial scare is losing the first set, and Rafa said he couldn't really play any worse in his on-court interview afterwards. He said the worst he's ever played, or something like that. Quite possibly a little bit of exaggeration there from the Spaniard, who's now confirmed himself a place at the ATP end of year finals, which will be in Turin. And he said, I will be there, which is interesting because that suggests that obviously he will be playing there. And unlike some people thinking, he may well shut his season down after the Labour Cup in a few weeks. But no, I fully expect him to be there, and it seems like he does too. And he's qualified now for that. Of course, he could also end up being world number 1 at the end of this tournament, but that's a long way down the road. It's really between him and Medvedev. I know that Casper Ruud is in the mix, and so is Alcaraz, also in that mix for world number 1 at the end of this tournament. But there's a lot of permutations for those two. It's really seemingly between Medvedev and Nadal, and I think basically if Nadal wins the championship, which he may well do, it's his. But that's far from his mind right now. It's certainly far from his mind last night or this morning as it was here. He was in a spot of bother, playing terribly. The backhand, which of course Fognini was targeting, was just wild, going long and into the net and into the tram lines, and full of errors in that first set. But he overcame it, and in the second set it was a breakdown, of course. So basically he's a set and a breakdown. I think it's 4-2 in that second set, and he's also love 15 on his serve. Things are looking very tricky for the Spaniard. However, he manages to hold serve in that particular game and then break serve. And then when, and there was a lot of breaker serves, to be fair, in the match, and especially in that second set. When Fognini at 4-5 was serving to stay in the set, Nadal broke. But still his level wasn't great. But I would suggest the third set was his best set of the tournament so far. Some of you may rightly say not much competition for that in terms of how kind of badly he played. Certainly the first set today, but perhaps even the first 2 sets, struggling as well in the first round against a wildcard to go through. But through he goes. And I do think in that third set, there were some wild shots, some top, A-lister shots from Rafa Nadal that we know he can, particularly when doing a passing shot off a smash. Yes, a passing shot off a smash, which was incredible. I think he did a similar one at the US Open a few years ago as well. But there were some other incredible shots, some great drop shots from the Spaniard, and back to his best in that third set, explaining how he won it 6-2. 2-1, you're thinking no more dramas, especially with an early break in the fourth. No more dramas, and Rafa don't seem to go together, because at the beginning of that fourth, he does go up that early break. I think it's 3-1, and there's a fall, and he immediately goes over to the side of the court, lies down, and you're thinking, oh, what is this? An immediate go down, and immediately lying down, and you're thinking, okay, this could be a rib issue, could be the abdominals again, given the fact he's just immediately lying down. And he also didn't seem to incur a leg injury, but what it was once the replay became obvious. Let's imagine this is the tennis racket. He falls, bangs the racket on the ground, and it comes smack on his nose. As a result, he feared he'd broken it, although it does appear that he hasn't broken it. There was a medical timeout, which he took every second of course, to get the treatment, getting a nice little plaster on his nose. And the plaster matches the outfit. Good for him, good for Nike perhaps. I don't think it was a Nike plaster all the same. By the way, I know you say Band-Aid in the US, it's this thing that was covering his nose. And he managed to regain his composure. I think he lost 6 points in a row around that time. He loses the game that Fognini was serving when the incident occurred, I think at 15-love. He then goes on to lose that to love. He then loses his first 2 points, I think, on his serve in the next game, meaning 6 points in a row that the Spaniard lost. And you're wondering if he's lost his momentum, lost his cool, lost his composure as a result of that injury. None of the sort. He then basically just continues from where he sort of left off in the previous set, and basically comfortably wins 6-1. Anyway, a couple of scares for him, but he does go through where he's going to be playing Richard Gasquet. Check out Talking Tennis on Twitter. I posted a little record of their head-to-head, but spoiler alert, it doesn't look good for Gasquet. So check that little head-to-head stat out on the Talking Tennis Twitter account. And I would imagine that Rafa Nadal probably will go through against Gasquet without dropping a set, where he may well play Francis Tiafoe, who also went through yesterday, at least, without dropping a set. He goes through in straight sets, and I do probably think that those two are on a collision course to meet in the fourth round. I'm not quite sure who Tiafoe is playing. He might be playing Cilic. I'm not sure in the next round, but I do think Tiafoe will make it to the fourth round, and I think that's where my bracket suggests. How far do you think Rafa's going to go in this tournament? Are you concerned about his form? Let me know on Twitter. Let me know on Facebook. Let me know on the comment section below on YouTube. Let me know what you think about that. Any other matches that I'm missing from yesterday? We spoke about Muguruza. Let's just scroll down. Oh yeah, Diego Schwartzman, I remember, was in action. Yeah, so there's Tiafoe beating Kubler in straight sets, 7-6, 7-5, 7-6. Didn't see the match. So again, I'd love to know what you think about it, and I may well be able to respond. But that's Tiafoe, good one for him. He'll be pleased to progress. Yeah, so Schwartzman, I managed to catch some of his match. Oh, and also Sabalenka. Let me talk about Sabalenka for a second. She beat Kanepi, and I actually managed to watch, I think, pretty much all of this, or certainly from about the middle point of the second set, when Sabalenka was at, I think, double break down, looking really, really on the brink, gets that back, gets it to a tie break, and she also gets another little moment, if you like, in the tie break. Facing match point. She gets a net cord in her favour. It's a passing shot. Kanepi's at the net, ready for it, on the racket, clips the net, bounces over. Kanepi cannot react in time. Sabalenka ends up winning the set, 7-6, and you kind of knew from that moment onwards that momentum was with her. She did have a few wobbles when she was trying to close it out at 5-4. A couple of double faults, I remember, and some unforced errors in that game, but she does it, and I was really pleased for her. Nothing against Kanepi, but Sabalenka again has had a bit of a scratchy year. We've had a few moments with the double faults, remember, in Australia, being a big issue for her, but she goes on to the next round. Really pleased for her. Cilic is also in the next round, as I suggested. Rublev, 2 in straight sets, having very few problems against Kwon. 1 out of 43 there. Didn't see the match, but it was a very impressive path through, so maybe he's steadying the ship somewhat. So yeah, we've also got, by the way, later on today, we've got Andy Murray. I'll be mentioning that match shortly. He is in action against Berrettini. We will be covering that match on the channel here today. There's some doubles action there. So yeah, that seems to be about it on my screen, at least. It seems to be all doubles here, including Jamie Murray, obviously, and his brother. I hit a few singles matches here. Yeah, I did see a bit of Niemeyer against Putintseva. Putintseva seemed to get a bit of an injury in that match. Don't know if that hurt her. Oh, Bencic Chestea early in the day. Chestea serving for the match there in the second set. Doesn't close it out. Bencic breaks again, wins the set, and really from that moment onwards, it only looked good news for Bencic, I would suggest. Musetti going through in 4 sets despite losing the first set. Gasquet going through as well in 4 sets. What about Kecmanovic? That's a surprise, no? I think many of us would have had Kecmanovic winning that, but he doesn't. Gasquet, Nadal's good friend for all sorts of reasons, but not least that they used to play each other in juniors quite a lot, where Gasquet's head-to-head was somewhat different in those days, I believe. When they used to meet, and it was nice. I sort of heard Rafa say, I'm playing Richard in the next round, and you can obviously tell there's some affection between those two because they go back quite far. Yeah, Schwartzman against Popper is a match I saw. 7-6, 7-5, 7-6. As tight as it suggests, I thought Schwartzman played really well. Obviously off the ground. When it comes to the serves, I think Popperin was, I think at one point I saw it was like 15-1 when it came to the aces count for that match. But Schwartzman progresses, and maybe it's the best he's played for almost 2 years. Don't think he had a great 2021 and 2022. So yeah, or 2022 thus far. I know his ranking has sort of gradually slipped. Of course, he made the ATP finals, I think, in 2020. But he's gradually sort of now in the sort of 15, 16 in the world sort of region, maybe even 17, I'm not sure. Quite possibly 17 because his ranking is 14, and obviously with a couple of absences, that would be the case. But yeah, Popyrin obviously strong on the serve, but Schwartzman strong on the nerve, let's say, because certainly in those tiebreakers, one of which was 9-7, the other one I think was, or 7-3, sorry, one was 8-6. Yeah, it was a good match, but you know, sometimes you just thought, Schwartzman's the bigger guy, he's got the bigger serve. How can Schwartzman win? Popyrin's got the bigger guy with the bigger serve. How could Schwartzman win this match? Well, he found a way, and I think off the ground, he was amazing, if I'm honest, and I can make these comments because I actually got to see the match. Can't see them all, but one match I will be seeing later on with some colleagues is the Andy Murray match. I think we're going to go pretty heavy on this particular match with Andy Murray against Berrettini. How do you see that going? Let us know on Twitter. Let us know in the comments section as well. Many people are thinking that Murray can win, and I think that's partly because of Berrettini's form since Wimbledon, of course, when he got COVID and had to pull out. That his form has looked a bit scratchy since then. He didn't really do anything in the North American swing before here, either in Canada or in the US. Any of the tournaments didn't make a final. Don't recall him making a semi-final, really threatening. And even here, a match we sort of had Jethro having a look at the other day, saying that he didn't look very inspiring, albeit that he did come up with a couple of worldies in the tiebreak to prevail in that match against Grenier. But it was a lucky loser, going to 4 sets. And I think Berrettini may well have dropped a set in the first round. So then, of course, conversely, Murray's looking good. Straight sets against Cerundolo, I think that's very impressive. If that was a Nadal, a Djokovic, or a Federer, would be going, yeah, nice, business-like, en route possibly to another slam. Excuse me. But he did it, unbelievable. Obviously, he's now in round 3 because he obviously negotiated his second round as well, despite dropping the first set against Nava. And I believe it's his first time in the 3rd round at the US Open for many, many years. I'm not sure if it's 2015 or something like that, or maybe even be longer. So bodes well for the Scot, and it is a match that we will be focusing on later. So let me know if you think he's going to win. Let me know how far you think he's going to go. Maybe you're a fan of the Italian, and maybe you still think the seed will progress. Berrettini, of course, he is a US Open semi-finalist. He got to that stage in 2019, where he met Rafael Nadal that year. He's obviously on a different side of the draw, along with Medvedev, who's also in action later today. Let me know your thoughts on Medvedev. Is he going to serenely now get to the final, given that Tsitsipas is gone from his half, Fritz has gone from his half, and of course, Jack Draper knocking out Felix Auger-Aliassime, and I've definitely butchered that name. Let's call him Felix for now. Auger-Aliassime, I think that's better. Again, these are all big hitters that I thought were going to pose Medvedev a lot of troubles, but he's in 3rd round action today. So is Nick Kyrgios. Those two, of course, potential 4th round meeting could occur. But really, our eyes on the Talking Tennis channel today will be on Andy Murray, will be on Berrettini. We'll be keeping an eye on other matches as they go on, but they'll be in action from around about 5 o'clock in the UK, 6 o'clock in Central Europe. We will be focusing heavily on that match. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button somewhere around here. And we look forward to seeing you again later. And that wraps up another 20 minutes reviewing yesterday's action in New York. Take care. Thanks for stopping by, and see you soon.